All right, thank you everyone. Hello. And thank you for closing out this moment with us in Cannes. We're super excited to be here with you. Thank you for bearing the heat as we've been doing this week. My name is Aja Long, and I'm a global director at Meta across our global client partnership teams. And I am super excited to be here today with Vas. Vas is the Vas. He goes by Vas. Everyone knows him as Vas through the halls of L'Oreal, and he is the global head of marketing efficiency there. And so we're thrilled to have you and have this discussion. So the sort of impetus for this is at Meta, L'Oreal is an incredible partner of ours that we work with pretty deeply. And they're an incredible company. So the L'Oreal company is the largest beauty company in the world, and they have a really high standard and a high bar across everything, really, but also when it comes to how their media performs, how they measure it, how they think about it, and how they engage with creators. And so we started in conversation across our teams and organizations, and we got into conversation with work, and we said, it's no longer a question, right, of like how big is the creator economy, how important are creators to the marketing mix for marketers and for brands, but how do we prove it? How do we measure it? Because it is so significant. And that is really what kicked off this work that we did together.
Thank you so much, Aya. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you all of you for. They cannot hear us.
Can we
Oh,
hear?
yeah, that's
Okay.
better. So thank you all of you for being here today in this heat. Hopefully you're going to enjoy the session. And I would like to thank Aya for the partnership that we have with Meta. We have a very strong, what we call global learning agenda, and the output, the labor of this partnership is this wonderful paper that we hope you have read. Has anybody read the paper?
Oh no.
Oh, okay.
That's a
Well, we have some goodies for you. You see, there's a lot of goodies in Cannes, so you can basically scan the QR code, and it's going to take you straight to the paper. We received a lot of great feedback on it, and I'm sure you will find it really interesting. So, the outcome of this collaboration is this creator times paid media equation that we are going to talk to you about today.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so let's get into it. So we'll have a little bit of conversation of how we got there, but also some insights that came out of it as you think through how we measure this really important part of all of our marketing and our media mix. So Vas, really to kick this off, the question is, at what moment did you realize at L'Oreal that you really needed to make creators genuinely measurable? You've been doing great measurement across a large part of the business, and so what was sort of the driver for jumping into this from a creator standpoint?
That's a great question, and we have to make a confession on this, panel floor, and the confession is real, and a lot of the brands have lived it here. Is that it's not that marketeers did not believe into creators and the creator economy. Creator economy is basically like a 33 billion economy with a double-digit growth. So everybody believed in it. So the touch point creators have earned their place. The question was, do we really have the evidence, the proof point, to understand the effectiveness and the ROI of creator and advocacy as well as the boosted media? And the answer was, as you see here in the charts, like we have some staggering stats in collaboration with work, which basically said that, 44, almost 50% of the marketeers, they're basically running campaigns without any KPI. And despite the increased spend, so 70% of you guys are planning, to increase your investment behind creator by 50%, which is a massive number. However, 50%, again, half of you, so it's easy to remember the numbers, half of you were really struggling on how to measure it. So, at L'Oreal, we've been on this journey very early on the stages, and we have been investing on the touch point. We've seen the power of the touch points, and there came a moment that we needed to move from the gut feeling to actually having an ROI-based, a much more empirical approach to it. And this is why we started treating advocacy measurement, boosted influencer measurement, like every other channel in the mix, because it really deserves the same focus, effort, and attention like every other media touch point.
Yeah, excellent. And I missed clicking, but these are, and I see that you're taking some photos, which is great because there are so many great learnings. But and you may have talked through some of these sort of insights here as well as you went through, just in terms of how you see the outcomes where L'Oreal performed. Obviously, higher as we talked about the ROI on this versus content without creators. Yeah. Okay. So one of the things that we know when we think of the creator economy, and this is another interesting piece, that the way that people make purchases are different now. We all know that, right? Like, how many of you have been influenced by a creator from a purchase that you've made? And there are probably creators in the audience that have influenced people to make purchases. And statistically, the data is there. So over 50% of people are now making purchase decisions based off of something they've seen from a creator. And we see that younger audiences, they over-index with this anymore. And so they just play a really important place and voice in, and brand is important, but then really giving that authentic, trusted point of view, it's something that we see coming from creators pretty significantly. And so Voss, from where you sit at L'Oreal, how real is that shift? And how did it change the way you think about working with creators?
Yeah. So you are actually, again, you're quoting, and in the paper we're quoting some staggering numbers about the power of, creators in driving purchase decision. And that's really real for L'Oreal in particular, because beauty is a category that is built on trust and recommendation. So things like, word of mouth, peer-to-peer recommendation, expert advice, it's something that is actually particularly important in driving consideration and purchase intent. So, and as the studies have, been indicating, we know that nearly half of our consumers have made purchase decision in the back of, some kind of advocacy and influencers. More than, 9 out of 10 consumers are actually really open to creator content. So we know that the demand is there. Nevertheless, as the stat says, 70%, and also like 70% of the brands are actually planning to increase their advocacy, investments by more than 50%. So the touch point is, particularly important into this path to purchase. Marketeers are actually planning to invest, quite significant dollars and euros behind the touch point. However, a lot of them, they feel they're struggling, it's a challenge, they don't know how to do it. So the question is, basically, how do we fully understand the full funnel impact of, creators have and boosted advocacy have, and how we can go much more into the, deep dive into the different levers of creators' advocacy and their effectiveness.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense because we know in general that 92% of marketers say creator content outperforms their own. And one of the things actually we see on the platform is that brand content is also still important, and that when you combine the two, it's an amplifier. And so that's where, again, that question of like, if the creator economy, which it's projected to by many sources, get to $500 billion by 2030, it's how do we measure it, right? So that we can have sort of those best outcomes. And so, Voss, again, as we like go back to the work research paper, how do we do it? How did we do this work together?
So as we're saying, in the paper we're explaining, some of the best practices, some of the processes of what do marketeers need to be doing, but we are happy to share with you the experiences we have and how we approached it. So as we said at the beginning, with Meta we have what we call a global learning agenda, which means it's one of the most important things is you clarify what are the different, business. The microphone.
Can we have Voss's mic is not working? Can we have you turn up the volume if anyone can hear me? Or it's low.
Yeah.
Can we turn up his volume?
Or maybe I should speak a little bit louder. Is that better?
Does that help?
So what we're saying is the most important thing in any business, because I get that question quite often, is what is the different business questions you are trying to address? So that's the most important thing is you clarify the business question. What is, what we call the learning agenda that you need to be answering by with your platform, with your different partners. The second thing we put in place is, we clean the data. Like a lot of people were talking here about data, but of course it's business questions, then you need to sort out your data. So there was a lot of work we did about cleaning and collecting the data, having the right taxonomy, having the right tagging, having the right distinction between sponsored, organic, as well as boosted advocacy. So once you have your questions ready, you have your data cleaner, and you have the right different distinctions across the different activations, then you move to okay, what is the different measurement tools? And at L'Oreal we use a complementary measurement toolkit which comprised of brand lift studies, experiments, and a lot of the work we are explaining in the paper is how we use the power of experiments to answer some of those questions, marketing mix modeling, and a lot of marketing mix modeling deep dive. So we basically applied the same rigor, the same sophistication that we apply in all our media channel to advocacy measurement, and that's what we are basically advocating into the paper.
Excellent. And what I would add to this is I think the work that that L'Oreal did as they went through this process and thinking about creators, we think is really valuable because having really a shared, transparent standard for how we think about how we work with brands and creators and measure and prove it, we've gone to that critical mass sort of point where we need to have the proof points. And so we think that this is a really important part of the equation because it allows brands to really understand where they're getting the ROI, and creators also, right, as a part of this economy, to get the credit that they deserve, but also that's proven. And so we think this is the really sort of best and next healthy step in this ecosystem to support its long-term growth. So um, we have a few more things, yeah, actually, to get through. If that's okay. Excellent. Um, so, we also think about this piece of the flywheel of the ecosystem when it comes to creators from a meta lens that's really important to consider altogether. And so there are a number of things that we consider. And so we think about creativity and culture. We're at Cannes Lions here. We're in the land of creativity, right? So we're all here and we believe in that. But we think that that's incredibly important. And so across meta surfaces, when we look at that, we think of the content that's on reels and stories, threads, obviously from commentary and edit. But we find that that compounds when you get the flywheel working together. So you go from a reel into a story, you share that into DM, that DM goes into a group chat, this happens often, and then that goes into some other form of broadcast. And so we also find that when creators work with brands for more than 1 year, that really compounds their benefits. And so we see that to being really important. The other is this co-creation piece, right? So there are craft creators that brands work with, obviously, to scale. And at Meta, we look at using tools like partnership ads, which are the paid mechanism to support the creator engagement that's happening on the platform. And when those are used, we see increases in all of the metrics, and you can name them. So discovery increases, evaluation of whether you want to purchase the product, purchases, loyalty, et cetera. So all the things that marketers really care about, those core principles, we see that amplified when the flywheel is there. And then there's this element of humanity and intelligence. We've all been here. We've all been talking quite a bit about AI. Meta is obviously talking quite a bit about AI. But there is something that is so important from creators, from the human touch, that cannot be replicated anywhere. People see it and feel it, and we continue to really value that. And so we think the AI is obviously used to power and scale and create tools, but that amplification we find to be really important. And then the other point that I would make around this flywheel, and one of the things that Meta is invested in, is making it easier for brands and creators to find each other. And so we have at Meta Creator Marketplace, where there are more than 5 million creators, and the AI helps predict and match, if you will, but there's also a human touch and element where brands can find creators that are either speaking to their products on the platform, or that may even be of a content, an area of interest, and really leverage that. We've actually had some great examples with L'Oreal and Kiehl's, which is one of the brands in their portfolio, where they were able to use the creator marketplace, the flywheel went into place, and through those activations, saw obviously higher ad recall and greater engagement. And so we're really invested in creating a healthy ecosystem, and do believe that when the flywheel works all together and we see it in the measurement, that you get stronger performance.
So also right, Aja, and as Sarah, the advocacy director at Laura, has put it in, we have some beautiful quotes in the paper as well. It's like advocacy is most powerful when it's rooted in an organic truth, and what we're learning is how to back that truth with data-driven precision. So, as I has described in the paper, we have some beautiful cases. One of them is Kiehl's in Turkey, which basically they use Meta AI power, creator selection recommendation tool as part of their creator selection strategy. And oh yeah, it's great. And they have seen some fantastic results, like almost 2 times higher ad recall, at 46% actually better cost per ad recall, lower cost per ad recall as well. So Kiehl's was a great study. And then we also had another case study from CeraVe in Spain, where basically they use that, they call it creative collision. They could use the combination of personality-driven creator selection, as well as some expert advice, expert creators on the topic, and the performance was, I don't know if we have the slide on that, but the performance was like 10 times points of unaided ad recall against 5.6 for business as usual. So 2 different cases, but basically they share, the same point that Aya explained earlier, is that AI is there to help you make more informed decisions, but ultimately creators bring the humanity, the authenticity within the mix, and that's what really makes this powerful combination work very, very well. So some great studies. We have some more numbers. We have some numbers around incrementality in the paper. So we talked about incrementality and the impact, this kind of activation a creator has in terms of return on investment, ROI, as well as the boosted content. I'd like to highlight that actually this is not the first paper on the topic. More recently, we are very happy and very pleased to see the publication of the IPA paper on the ROI of influence. They published it last year, October, and it's a global consolidation of ROIs around influencers. So if you haven't read it and you're interested in ROIs globally, I think that's a great reference point. You can see short and long-term ROIs. And more recently, I think that a few weeks ago, Circana also published a paper on the value of influencers. And there you can see creator ROIs versus other touch points. You can see, how the touch points perform in terms of the different industries, micro, macro, etc. So a lot of the topics that we, tackled on the papers in terms of incrementality, we also addressed that with a lot of experiments. As we're explaining in the papers, the experiments help us understand things like, what's the right balance between branded content and creator content? Should it be, 100% zero? Should it be 80-20, 50-50, and things like that? Or things like the creator tiers as well, macro, micro, and things like that. And of course, we had a lot of marketing mix models with marketing mix modeling deep dives, which help us. I think is that in the previous slide, Aya? I think we had some stats around incrementality, which prove exactly. So here we are, which prove that the combination of branded content with influencer with boosted advocacy content is basically delivering 35% better performance. And our measurement, as you can see, has consistently helped us improve our brand lift performance. So you see ad recall, awareness, brand association, intent, and preference. All of them almost twice as much as the industry benchmarks. And as you see, across the year, they have been increasing. So measurement, what we believe in is if you can measure it, you can improve it. And we've been very intentional on our learning agenda with Meta with regards to incrementality.
Yeah, so that's just another good plug. And I don't know if you can hear me if my mic has gone out now. But that's another good plug for downloading the paper if you can. Scan that QR code, because as you hear Vas talk, the depth of insight that goes into the work that L'Oreal is doing broadly, but certainly the thought into this paper and how we think about the next frontier of measuring creators, it's really all there. And so again, just another good plug to go and go and download it, because it is full of those insights and how we went there. So Vas, one thing that you've talked about is creators as long-term partners and not just vendors. And so as you look ahead, what does this next chapter of this look like for L'Oreal, for brands and creators that work with you?
I mean, this is a great question. And since we cracked the basics, I think we're in a very good place to understand effectiveness, ROI of advocacy and boosted advocacy content. I think we need to go a little bit deeper on our journey. As we said, it's a very important touch point. It's an important touch point in the selection of the different touch points we have. We want to go a little bit deeper with our studies. There's a few different learning agenda work streams around creator measurement, advocacy, organic. L'Oreal Lister is one of the programs I think we have talked about, as well as like an influencer loyalty program. So we want to go a little bit deeper on understanding that. And in general, just continuing consistently proving the value of creators and having that very honest discussions with influencers about, and showcase the value that they're basically bringing. And the paper here was, is a great industry paper. It's something that hopefully is going to inspire some of the other, creators, businesses of approaching creator measurement in a more systematic way.
Yeah, okay, excellent. So that really brings us to a close on some of our big topics. Ross, before we go out, any other closing thoughts from you on L'Oreal and the measurement creator exploration?
I think it's it's great to see that the industry is really trying to share a lot of thoughts on the topic, that there's a lot more work streams coming out. So I think we're going to have a lot more visibility on the performance over the next few months. We need to understand the long-term impact of it and how it helps building some of the brands. I think that's a very important question we need to be answering. And then, keep on measuring, because again, as we're saying by the motto we have, if you can measure it, you can improve it.
Excellent. And what I would just say as a few thoughts here, when we look at this from the Meta perspective, the creator economy is huge and so important. And at Meta, we are investing in that across Instagram and Facebook and our key platforms. And we are looking for more ways to get clear signal to support that. And so that is why we're so enthusiastic about this work. And we see this frontier of, yes, large creators continue to be really important. Micro and nano creators are also incredibly important, and we see that nearly half of influencer and spend is happening there now because people are looking for that trusted voice. And so we think that this is a space and a currency that will continue to be really valuable. And so we're invested in creators. We think that when creators thrives, brand thrives, and it creates a healthy ecosystem for all of us. One more plug to download and scan the white paper. So there's a bigger QR code if it makes it even easier to do. And while we give you time to do that before we wrap, we'll just do a quick fire round of questions to sort of close it out. So Vas, this is for you.
Lady on the front seat.
Oh, sorry, we have one question. Well, yep.
L'Oreal, of course, is working. L'Oreal is working with TV advertising and also with creators. So, how can you really understand if a purchase is driven by the advertising or creators?
Yeah, that's a great question, and that's why you have, data scientists who are working on what we call marketing mix modeling. So marketing mix modeling is a discipline where basically it's using a lot of granular data to try to disentangle what are the key drivers of sales when everything happens at the same time and controlling for everything else. So we are using basically advanced, analytics, regression analysis. We are putting a lot of data behind. We're using a lot of advanced algorithms. This industry has been very mature. It's been more than, I've been in the industry for 20 years, but the industry was there for like 30, 40 years before me. And you have the ability to understand if I'm spending X amount of money on these particular campaigns, what is the impact in terms of sales in this particular week and over the next few weeks. And at the same time, disentangle the impact of TV, pricing, promotions, online video, and all the different other drivers of sales. So if you're keen to study more, we explained a little bit in the paper, but there's a lot of research out there which explains what is marketing mix modeling and how it helps me understand the return on investment of the different activities.
Do you have a specific, apart from Meta, do you have a specific partner or dashboard that you may suggest? Like a platform that is helping you on this, or it's all internal in L'Oreal?
That's a great question. Of course, at L'Oreal, because of the scale, we have a very large marketing effectiveness program, probably one of the largest in the world. So we have to rely on agencies to outsource these services. But Meta has Robin. They invested a lot of money and technology to create an open source, just one second, an open source coding platform where you can do some modeling, some marketing mix modeling, and a lot of advertisers do that. So marketing mix modeling, Robin, and there are other platforms out there which are open source, which can help you start your measurement journey. But you would require a little bit of statistics and advanced modeling to be able to do that.
My name is Ivan Carrillo. I live in LA and I manage a lot of content creators who speak Spanish and live in the US. And my question is, and this is I bet that a lot of creators have sometimes ideas that they are in a moment, like a trend. And we have experienced that when a creator or as fast as you jump into a trend, it's going to be easier for you to have better results. So there is any way that we can send ideas or, for a trend, like a video that is getting a lot of views. because sometimes it's like with the campaigns, it takes like, like 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, sometimes like many months. So I just wonder if there is a way for other creators to send ideas to the company.
To send ideas?
Just like to get like, for example, content ideas that they are going to like, like can.
Yeah.
What is happening here, there must be like a lot of ways to create content right now. If you see a trend, like people are melting right now, like, and I bet that for women and also men that use makeup, like, like it would be nice to do something funny or something like creative, or to try a new product that maybe people weren't expecting right now. So like do it something a little faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would say, and I know we're coming to a close, and now there are many good questions, but I would say a few things. So, for example, the creator marketplace that I mentioned, that is a really great place for brands like L'Oreal and others to find creators where there's content. There are also, with the AI that's embedded within the tools, within Instagram today, you can go in and you can literally search for things that are trending, and you can amplify, and you can find that and amplify it. But I think your question is, how do brands find creators where they're picking up on these? And so that is a mechanism, right, within organizations about how quickly are their creator organizations finding on tap with the creators and finding the trends. And so part of that ecosystem is some of the tooling exists to do that in marketplace. We are now actually winding down on time. But
maybe one more question.
Okay, maybe one more before we get. Okay.
This guy has been trying.
Maybe one more.
Hi, thanks for taking my question. My name is Jonathan. I have a question regarding because I've just loaded the report, and I promise I will read it. But I'd like to understand if you had some qualitative insights from these researches we're doing. I mean, I'm trying to understand, like, there is a specific theme or a specific CTA or a specific, I mean, you understand what I mean here. Is there anything that you can share with us in that department? Also, because you've tested this in different markets, so there must be some patterns you have seen content-wise.
Yeah, I mean, of course, what we do at the Global is we study some questions globally, and then we're also trying to see, does this pattern hold in different categories, for example, or do you see the same performance across different markets? And the answer is not that one size fits all. So there would be situations with the branded content that, or the mix might be one particular balance in one market, and then, or in one particular category, and then you see differences across different categories. So I think the approach of measurement is the same. Sometimes you could be quite surprised by the answers you can have. I have a lot of examples, but now it's not the time to. I can share after off the record.
Excellent. That brings us to time. Thank you all so much for joining us for this conversation. If we didn't get you to a question, we'll be around a little bit, so we're happy to chat. But thank you all, and enjoy the rest of Cannes.
Thank you.